Start it up. What day are we on, guys? Tuesday in here?
It is Tuesday.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the DNVR show.
Let's go.
In exactly 1 week, we'll be in sunny San Diego, soaking up the sunshine. Maybe going to the beach a little bit.
Oh, nice.
I don't know. Maybe longboarding around Mission Beach. Is that the one that's down there? Is it Mission Beach? Do you remember?
No idea.
In San Diego?
I think it is. I think I got that right.
There's a bunch of different beaches.
Well, we're going to be longboarding around and covering the Denver Nuggets. I can't wait. On today's show, we're going to talk about the Damian Lillard trade, Vogt.
Oh, my God. Oh, it happened?
Yeah, well.
Oh, all right.
This is what, dude. What do you think for the average trade? What do you think the average talk time to actual?
Let's get into that.
Okay,
Later on, let's get into that very thing. Also, guys, the NBA has a new best player that just dropped. We'll talk about him. You might have heard of him before.
Out of nowhere.
We've got a mailbag. We've got a snake draft. We got it all. The fellas with me over here, Brendan Vogt.
What is up, fellas? You ever just wake up and you just can't wait to get after it? You just can't wait to rip off some takes?
That was you?
Nope, not really. But I'm going to find it. I'm going to find it.
I know. When I walked in today, you didn't even say hi. Over here, I got D-line.
I've seen you a lot.
That's the right way to approach. Like you just, I like sort of a quiet contention with what's it?
Yeah, well, Mission Beach was right. I'm just.
Oh.
I know my geography.
Congrats, bro.
That's my intro. That Adam got that right.
Thanks, buddy.
Oh, my God.
And the man with the wind behind his hat,
Jesus.
Harrison Wind.
I'm not changing my profile picture today.
That was good.
Sticking with it.
Eric is a man of silence over here. Guys, to warm us up today, I do want to talk about the Damian Lillard trade. No, it did not happen.
Wait, really?
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the Dame trade. Well, I'm talking about it in a meta way. And here's what it is. I had this epiphany last night. Trades have jumped the shark. I don't care about Damian Lillard.
Wow.
I don't care about Bradley Beal. I don't care about James Harden. I don't think I care about trades at all. And I don't know if this is just a function of none of these trades are all that compelling because like Dame is just below a threshold. And maybe if it was Giannis, I would be back into it. But to be honest with you, I think I am expired on trades.
I'll tell you what you are.
What's that?
Smug.
Yeah.
Championship
privilege,
You
baby.
don't. This is pure championship privilege. You're looking at it. You're like, this won't affect me because they're still no better than the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah,
every
you're
other
right.
year, like,
Oh, this is great.
And then you're like,
Like Eric, like people getting new head coaches. All right. Right. That's peasant talk.
That'll
That's
probably
peasant talk.
Yeah, right. That'll probably beat Jokic.
Yeah.
I think the last trade I cared about was the Kevin Durant trade.
Yep.
I did care about that trade. If you look at my Twitter timeline, I tweeted out one word after that trade happened. F-U-C-K. That's what I tweeted. That was the entire tweet. But I cared about that trade because
It made the matchup better for Denver.
it did. But at that time,
Just kidding.
At that time, if you remember,
smug.
the Nuggets had like 6-7 game lead on the Grizzlies. They were
Yes.
coasting. They were so clearly the best team in the West. And Kevin Durant was going to the Suns, and we didn't quite know if the Nuggets were clearly going to be the best team in the West after that trade. It turns out they were, but after that, I'm with you. I can't see myself caring about another trade.
But I just feel like, here's the other thing, because I think you guys are right. I think this is line number one. Why do I feel like it's jumped the shark? Line number one is smugness, right?
Yes.
But very close behind to me, line number two is we're 13 years into the player movement era. It really started with the decision in 2010. They all have kind of the same rhythm and the same length and the same everything, where I'm just like, I've seen this story. It's like the Hangover 5. You know, I'm like, all right, I get it. Doug's gone.
Totally. And here's the other thing. Harden did it, roughly 95 times.
Yeah.
Did he win the title after any of those moves?
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of not
mistakes.
everyone is Durant going to the Warriors, Like, yeah, superstars move because they're disgruntled, but are they the winning superstars? Should I care?
But I love this notion that, again, we've achieved this status where you can just look at trades as entertainment value only.
They are.
You're like, boring. Like, meanwhile, other teams are like changing the very constitution of their team. Like, it matters a lot if you're part of this. It does.
Yeah, if you're a part of a team, of course,
but
it
when
matters to you.
But like the hemming and hawing every day, and the hand wringing and the speculation.
But honestly, in the updates, I mean, a vote is playing the bit, but he's also right about like the updates aren't substantial.
Yeah,
They're
that's-
just, and that's
Well,
the thing.
this has been a little different than a lot of other trades
Has it?
negotiations out there.
Has it?
Yeah,
Do
I
you think so?
Well, I mean, yeah, it instigated a response from the NBA in terms of how it was done. So to some extent, there's that. But I also think, I don't want to take Wynn's point from him. Is it just that you mean the Dame one itself just is so ongoing, or
It's just for what it. When did the trade demand happen? Like right after the season or July, whenever it was, August. There's been just like 2 months of just nothing. It's just been the same exact thing for 2 months.
I just think there was a novelty to all of this 10 years ago that like gets a little bit less. The updates about, I'm hearing now Indiana has made some calls. I'm actually hearing that he would veto this, and this team
You
could
just
get
you just hate Twitter.
No, I'm saying it's the rhythm of this whole story where there was a novelty
It's a
to it early
Twitterization
on
of
where
it.
it was like, oh man, this is cool. A new rumor out of Toronto. And now I'm just like, these things just, I don't know. Maybe it's
But
just
that's
me.
what I'm saying. There have been no new rumors.
But there never was, though. I'm saying all these trades in the past, the updates were just content.
This
There has been no content.
to push back on my own point a little bit, right? Kawhi Leonard getting traded in his prime mattered. Anthony Davis getting traded in his prime mattered. They did win that title, and Kevin Durant, like those trades mattered. But I do think too, part of it is that Harden and Dame's a little different, but it's both of them have a little bit of a boy who cried wolf element to it of just, with Harden, it's wake me up when this trade ends in a title. With Dame, it's wake me up when this trade actually happens. But both of these two guys, here's the other thing, just some food for thought. I don't know if anyone's considered if Lillard switches teams, what would happen, but in 2023, is the landscape that different? Probably not, man.
Yeah.
Probably not.
That is part of the issue here is that this is taking on the rhythm of the Carmelo Anthony saga that went on for a very long time. But we were talking about a really young player in his prime that the idea of him going to New York felt like it was really tipping the scales. This feels like, because it's these two specific players, guys that are great, have been great, but are on the backside of their career, and you're like, come on, man.
But here's the thing about it. Like, think about this. The Bucks are title contenders. Would you guys agree?
Yes.
But if Giannis were to force a trade somewhere, there wouldn't be more title contenders. There would be the same amount. It'd just be the new team he goes to is now a title contender. And to me, that's the part where the more you do this, the more you're kind of like, oh, this stuff does. I mean, yeah, this is going to be drawn out for all this time. But at the end of the day, it's just they're wearing a different jersey now, and that's the part I'm kind of getting at about all of this. Is I'm just like over it. Let me see what happens.
The smuggest thing of all. Where you're like, you don't even care. You're like, is Jokic going to beat Giannis? What color is his jersey? I don't care. Like that. We're just the smuggest.
I will say though, that part of it, we'll get to it in the other section. Sorry.
No, just if this happens 5 years ago, it's different for Dame. But to me, it's it's not that it doesn't matter. It's just I don't need to talk about it every single day. I'm or at least let's wait till there's an update. So
let's talk about this then. I was thinking about this the other day. Who is the old guard of the NBA?
LeBron James.
Is it just him? Is that it?
Yeah, and he and Steph Curry.
So Steph Curry is also in
I
it?
would put Durant in that class.
Is Durant part of the old
Yes.
guard?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
And he was drafted at the same time as.
What about Chris Paul?
Yes, of course.
Uncle Jeff?
Yeah, Chris Paul.
I mean, is Chris Paul in the
Uncle
league? Do we
Jeff's
know
the
that?
old
He's
guard.
in the league. He's with the Golden State Warriors. Russell Westbrook.
Short, yeah.
I mean, he's with KD, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course.
And then Jimmy Butler, is he old guard?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, I would say.
I think that's the old guard of superstars. And I was sitting here thinking to myself today,
Kawhi.
Kawhi Leonard's younger, though.
He's part of the old guard.
Kind of,
Damian
but also
Lillard.
he's like in the same point of his career at the
So
same
we're going to
time.
put Dame and Kawhi in here? Let's do
Yeah.
it. Let's do
I
it.
don't know. I just feel like
Yes, dude. I mean,
we have a quota to say Damian Lillard once per show.
But if you consider
up in the
the
quota.
way to figure this out is to who is the new guard, and to say
Well, there's like a middle guard and then an old guy. I feel
I
like
suppose.
Giannis Jokic is like the
You're right.
Embiid is the middle guard, and then the new guard is
do
Shea.
you
and-
consider Jokic and Kawhi to be part of the same guard?
No.
Yep, old guard.
You're right.
Yep.
You're right. That's a great point. You did it. So here was what I was thinking today. The Warriors are on their last legs. LeBron is on his last legs. KD is in Phoenix, where they have a really good young team. He's the outlier here. Over under one title for the old guard remaining.
When they join the Nuggets?
I'm just saying, LeBron,
When
Steph,
Dame
Chris
forces-
Paul, Westbrook, Dame, Kawhi, over under one title.
I'm going to take under.
It's possible they win one or two, but the point is that it's also just as possible they win 0. So you're going to take under. They're done.
Yeah, I wonder if Steph got the last laugh in that guard. Like in that, that was the last. And it was a weird bit of a year in terms of the circumstances didn't break right for the middle guard and the new guard, but it was a last gasp, right? A reminder to the youngins about the OGs, but I do think the torch is passing.
Nothing I like more than when we create
Create
like
seasons.
words.
My feeling
to
is
the
that
calendar.
there is a very good opportunity and there's a very good chance that the old guard will still be able to win a championship, but not as the leader of the team that they are on.
As the second?
As like when Iguodala goes to the Warriors.
That's different. To me, that's completely different. Put
But
that
I'm saying
all
like,
aside.
yeah, but I don't see a LeBron-led team winning. I can see
Okay.
LeBron's like,
So your
okay,
answer would
I'll
be
go to
no.
the Heat and I'll be the fifth man or
To
whatever.
me, that's different. I would say you have to be a top 2 guy.
Well, then no, 0.
Top 2 guy?
0.
Really? You think it's over?
Well-
KD is in the Suns, though, is the only thing.
I mean, I don't want to put this into the atmosphere, but I'm going to. I don't see him making it through the season. Like
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I mean, that's actually not that.
I
know.
don't think
Right.
it's a certainty that they don't get one.
Definitely
not-
not,
it's
a
not a
certainty.
certainly
Not
not
a
a
certainty.
certainly not a certainty.
I think it's very much on the table that the Suns win the championship this year. I mean, that's clearly on the table.
On the table, yeah.
Yeah. The Warriors winning the championship this year, that would be surprising, but not off the table completely.
It's on the edge of the table.
The Lakers, I think, are probably in that tier, in the Warriors tier. So, likely no, but I think there's a really good possibility.
So here's why I started
Or somewhat
thinking
of a
about
possibility.
it. I would say that most championships in history in the NBA go to the middle guard, with very few examples of the new guard stealing one really, really early, and very few examples of the old guard getting one, where they kind of like, oh, Tim Duncan did this in 2014.
Yep.
He won one when it felt like his era was over, and then he comes back and stole one from LeBron, who was in the peak of his prime. It's very rare, and we can almost point to the examples where it happens. And so that's what got me thinking, like, if that trend holds, LeBron, Steph, KD, Chris Paul, Westbrook, it's over, and we're talking about the guys that are in the sort of their prime, the Embiids, the Jokic's, the Giannis's, maybe the Lukas and those guys, and it happening. And that's why I thought it was an interesting one. And I'll go one step further. When we talked about the importance of legacies, how when a new person's era begins, the other people are kind of done.
Yeah.
I almost feel like it's a little important that not only do you want Denver to win just for legacy purposes about owning the era, but you also just, if somebody else were to win, there's almost something to me. I don't know if you guys feel this way. I'd rather it be a current guard person than one of the old guards sneaking back in and stealing one
Well,
a little extra.
I mean, that's just it. Like, you want evolution.
Yeah.
You don't, because if the old guard wins, you're like, how long is this LeBron thing going to go on for? Like,
Right.
it's nice to turn the page. It's nice to.
that was totally Tim Duncan for me, by the way.
But yeah, it's like it's nice to
Oh, yeah.
to acknowledge the true, definitive entry into a new era, so you can then start forensically looking back at the old era that just passed and be like, wow, what was that? What did it mean? And it's like, you kind of want the narrative
Yeah.
to keep going. So yes, when it just hangs on forever and it's just like LeBron and Steph, LeBron and Steph, LeBron and Steph, there's no question who's going to win. There's no intrigue. It's just piling on to the
I
same
want
thing
that,
over
but
and over.
us.
Me too. Me too. Like, I want people to be so tired of Jokic by
Right.
the end. They're like, we get it. He's awesome. We're like, I don't think you do.
I don't think you do. Sit tight. We got another
I
one.
want everyone. You said, do any teams hate the Nuggets? The goal is for everyone to hate them.
Yes.
I'm so sick of this shit.
That's the
Yeah.
yes.
I can't wait to become.
The Smuggets.
Yeah, like what Boston did with the 2008 title. Watch how much I stretch 2023.
Bro, I have spent my entire adult life waiting to be a jerk. You know what I mean? Like, in this particular sense.
Yeah.
Like, I want the Lakers to look at having to come to Denver and be like, oh god damn it.
you win long enough to see yourself become the villain. That's
Yeah.
the goal. That's the goal.
Yes.
All right, let's take a break. On the other side, there's a new survey at ESPN, annual survey, and you'll never believe who they voted almost unanimously.
LeBron James?
The best player in the NBA. Yeah, ESPN.
The old guard?
The old guard.
Guys, if you are looking to head to Vegas, maybe you're going out there for a sporting event, concert, show, whatever it might be, just a trip with the fellas, check out Circa Sport or Circa Resort and Casino. The best place to stay in Las Vegas. We all stayed there for Summer League. It was incredible. Awesome casino, brand new. They got stadium swim, the pool out there, best place to watch a sporting event. The rooms are super nice, nicer than any room I've stayed in on the Strip. Circa Resort and Casino. It's your go-to in Vegas. Like I said, Broncos, Raiders maybe, Avs, Golden Knights, Pac-12. Book your stay at Circa Sports and Casino. It's an incredible place out there.
Truly the only good thing about the Raiders moving into their third city, Las Vegas, is that as a Bronco fan, theoretically you go watch your team get their faces kicked in, but make a Vegas weekend out of it.
Download the app. You can download the
From
Circa
Circa.
Sports app, circasports.com. You can bet on there, but if you want to book your stay, use the code DNVR20 when you're booking your stay at Circa Resort and Casino. Get 20% off. It's an awesome discount. DNVR20 for 20% off your stay at Circa Resort and Casino.
A DNVR group, I was a part of this group, went to check out the North Boundary at Dick's Sporting Goods Park recently, the newest addition to the Colorado Rapids game day experience, and it's a gem. It's a great spot to watch the game. You're right up on the field. Comes with a drink voucher. There are some food trucks around. It's just a cool little experience part of the park where there's more going on than just sitting in your seat. We all love to support our favorite teams in Colorado. Sometimes the teams don't support us, as much on the field. They don't reciprocate as
listen,
much.
man, listen, this is bigger than that.
But this is bigger than that. You got to find it's a community thing, man. And the soccer, the Rapids community is so strong. And I got to taste it a little bit and taste some delicious food and a free drink at the North Boundary. Check it out. Head over to coloradorapids.com/DNVR to learn more and buy your tickets today. It's a cool vibe over there. I am very glad I checked it out for myself.
Yeah, man. Unless you just are super obtuse and refuse to acknowledge it, the beautiful game is growing in this country quite a bit, and the Rapids have a really awesome
Goalkeeper.
They have a great Serbian goalkeeper,
Marko
and
Ilic.
it's
They have a great stadium too.
That's what I mean. It's a really pleasant, awesome way to spend an evening. And it is a way to catch a wave early. You can no longer buy low on the Denver Nuggets.
Right.
So you can maybe you can buy low on the Rapids because it don't get much lower.
Do they have a Jokic though? That's the only.
They have a Serbian.
They have an Illich.
I'll also say
Man,
this:
it's
getting
half
out
the
there a
battle.
lot easier than I realized. It felt like a Denver experience. So check them out at the Rapids.
It was indeed a Commerce City experience. All right, coming back here, real quick. Did you guys see the other day? It might have been yesterday. Steve Kerr's presser where he talked about Chris Paul's dedication to Blake, and he said he came out here on a 6 a.m. flight on Southwest. I remember thinking it was the funniest
He
thing.
better have had the A boarding group.
Yeah,
man.
A boarding group he didn't even have a boarding group. He had to see.
Can you
That's how
imagine
bad
Chris
he
Paul
wanted
in
to
a
come
middle
out.
seat?
I just thought it was such a.
He's actually small enough where a middle seat wouldn't be the worst
I was
thing in
going
the
to say
world.
that over the past however long, I would have welcomed that. I'd have been like, oh.
There's just nothing funnier to me than when the NBA,
Caleb,
the
pull
big
that
time
super chat
NBA
up.
personalities are trying to tell you how hard a guy's he hasn't he flew Southwest, you guys, like
Wow.
a normal human being.
It's like in Succession when Connor's like, "Yeah, we had to fly scheduled."
This super chat I think is worth hitting. I don't even think we have to wait till the end for this one. Eli says, after a few months of solo traveling through Europe, I have reached my last stop. I'm super chatting you live from the holy land of Sombor, Serbia.
Let's go.
I can't believe this is real. It gets better,
Dobroveče.
fellas, because Eli grew up 3 blocks from the DNVR bar.
Wow.
What a treat.
That's awesome.
Gotta
Go to
find
that-
Sloan, have a little paprikash.
Yeah,
you
man.
can.
Wow, you need to be let into Jokic's personal locker room by his childhood coach.
Too
I
bad you weren't
recommend it.
there 3 days ago. You could have seen Breno Lamar win the Hello Cup
Just missed
at the
it.
Sombor Hippodrome.
And if you want, just tell everyone you know us. I don't know if that gets you anything.
Gets
but
you
just
nothing.
nothing.
It
Yeah.
gets you nothing. That's awesome, though. Thanks for the super chat. Guys, ESPN has created a tradition whereby they interview 15, or I didn't say interview, they survey They survey 15 people. This is the weirdest survey they do because what a small sample size, man. 15 people, not even every team is represented. Now it's general managers, executives, and scouts, which, by the way, is also kind of a huge discrepancy, right? Like a scout and then a GM, that's like the opposite ends of the front office
We all
spectrum.
saw Hustle. We know that
Exactly,
I know.
yeah. So I find this to be the funniest of all the things they do in terms of surveys. But nonetheless, it's good for us, so we're going to talk about it. One of the questions, in fact, I would say question number 1, who is the NBA's best player right now? Out of 15 votes, Giannis gets 2 votes.
Okay.
Jokic got 13.
Oh, it's finally here. It's time.
I gotta say, I think this is a great pool of scouts that they surveyed. These guys seem to really know ball.
They do
What
know
they
ball.
should have done is said Jokic 85%, Giannis 15%. 13 and 2 looks very stupid.
It looks kind of dumb, yeah. But nonetheless, we can't assume that this represents a larger sample size. How many votes would you guess Jokic got last year at this same question?
0.
0 votes. In 1 year, he has gone from not getting any votes to almost unanimous.
I have 2 thoughts on that. A, winning a title. This is what it does. B, I would not have included that paragraph if I were ESPN.
Why?
I just think a lot of people are going, wow. Like, for a lot of people, that's the narrative. Wow, all of a sudden, and they got it right. I'm not trying to do the righteous indignation, but this is what he should have been getting votes. It shouldn't have gone from 0 to 13, man. He should have been getting votes.
Why? Because he was the reigning MVP?
But you know,
No. But it is. But I'm not doing righteous indignation. It is a new day, and it is actually really awesome to see what we know is the case.
The lesson we have to keep learning and way we have to keep going of humility through dominance is like a new mode for us. Before we used to just have to beg for people to look at us. Now we have to be not too over the top because Jokic is like, we have to be like, okay, yeah, I mean, you're right.
Yeah, but also this also feels so good because we were so right.
oh my
That's
God, I
the
can't
real-
believe
This
how right
is so
we were.
gratifying.
Oh, I would say
let's
it's
be
made-
totally honest,
I would say
man.
it's
This
made
is
monsters of some of us.
yeah, it has. I mean,
Made
I won't say who. I won't
we can
say
be
who.
honest about that.
It's made online bullies of some of us. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like it's really turned us into the worst versions of ourselves.
But I mean, most of all, this just feels great because we were right about this. We were so right about it, and now it has just gotten to a point where everybody has to accept how right we were.
Let's just sit for 5 minutes silently and make everyone bask in our victory lap. No?
Do you think
Okay.
we will miss our old the come up
Persona?
Yes,
No,
of course. Oh, yes.
I
You think
already
we'll
missed
miss
it a
the
little
come
bit.
up?
yes.
Well, I will say there is a chance for us to get gravy on top of our potatoes this year.
Oh, really?
Which we will not miss if we go into that like Warriors, that
Yeah.
overdrive mode.
Yeah.
We won't miss it at all. We will miss it in the following years where no one is impressed by the Nuggets anymore, and they are simply annoyed, and we find ourselves just fighting for their supremacy. It's the way it happens, but we're not. I mean, it's up to the Nuggets. Like,
Well, we saw this, by the way, in the playoffs. Like, all the top analysts were starting to call Jokic the best player in the NBA. It's become en vogue to have that take. Do you think it'll remain that all year long? If Jokic has a unimpressive November, do you think like, people are going to be like, well, I don't know, I was the best player? Or do you think it's like, nah, he won it, you're going to have to surpass him?
I think it doesn't take much for a vocal minority to rear its head in that. Like,
It was actually Murray that won them the play. Or something. Yeah, that's going to like.
I mean, but even LeBron James would lose a game once, and it'd be like, is it Kevin Durant now?
Right,
Is it
right.
Kevin Durant now? And no, it never was. Glad you asked. But there's gonna be, there are going to be people that just because they had to admit they were wrong, they can't wait to be right again, right? So that's how it works.
Exactly it.
I'm doing it with Giannis, to be honest. I bowed my head and I was like, hey man, he won.
Giannis
He
to be
delivered
Giannis.
he delivered that title. Like, that's awesome. He's the guy here in the praise. But like, low-key, I couldn't wait. I've always believed the bagless thing. And the second you give me an inch, I'm taking a mile.
So this probably will happen again with Jokic. Like right now,
Yes,
I would
of
say
course.
Jokic has what are the odds here? 13 out of 15.
Dude, the first
that's
bad
like
game Jokic
91% approval rating.
Potentially the first game of the season, this will happen.
The first, which could be
think?
Potentially,
the
yeah.
first bad game of the season. It will
Depending on
come
how
out
it goes.
thick and heavy.
Well, who is the most likely player to overtake Jokic in the narrative best player in the NBA?
Giannis.
You think it's Giannis?
Because he plays both ways, Adam.
I don't think it's unthinkable that it would be Embiid again.
No, it can't be a beat.
I'm telling you, just during the regular season.
It can't be.
I honestly don't think he's going to get. I think he's on a 1-year hiatus.
I think that there is a great number of people that really hitch their wagon to Embiid.
If you say Embiid, you're laughed off any podcast or show you're on.
And they want, yes, because he hasn't played a game since. And like, if he comes out and scores 60 points for the 3 weeks and like. Yeah. I'm just putting it out there.
No,
I honestly don't think that.
I don't think it can be.
It's possible, but
I think it can be Giannis. I think it can be Giannis.
Okay,
he's the leader in the clubhouse.
I'll just want to push back. Let's talk about him for a second. I wonder if he is going to get that, or if they're going to look at it. I almost feel like
Luka?
Giannis can get elevated to Jokic status, but that people don't want to give it above him just yet because of some of the stuff you're talking about.
Chat through Luka out there. I think that's a good example.
Hold on. I just wanted to see real quick about the Giannis thing, because I thought about Giannis. No, because I thought about Giannis, and my honest assessment is I don't think Giannis is going to be the guy that gets anointed. I think Giannis would only get into the category of like Giannis and Jokic are the two best players. I think that'll happen.
Possible. Yeah, because they do.
It just depends on what the Bucks season looks like. I mean, if they come out and go like 20-5 and have the best defense in the league.
I think more likely is it's always the next guy. There's nothing analysts like more than the next guy.
That's why Luka, I think.
And that's why I kind of think the Lukas might be the ones that sneak into this.
But, dude, they're not going to be good enough. Have you seen that Dallas might be starting 2 rookies next season?
Dallas was really bad.
There is a really good chance the Mavs
do you remember how the Mavs
are not a playoff team again this season?
A play-in team?
A play-in team again. There's a really good chance they just suck.
They maybe more so than any team with a legit superstar do not know what to do, like which direction they're headed in.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dude, they might be starting that lively guy at center and Omax Prosper.
That would be insane. That would be
There was a
absolutely
report
insane.
they might be starting both those guys.
That's insane. That's absolutely
They
insane.
might suck.
Yeah. What about this one? Who will be
It
the
can't be
NBA's
Luka if that's the case.
Who will be the NBA's best player in 5 years? On this one, Jokic only received 2 votes. Luka received 6. Anthony Edwards received 3, which is very surprising to me. Wembanyama got 2 votes. Shea got 1. Tatum got 1. When you get 15 people and 6 different answers, I feel like that means, there really isn't a great consensus.
The scouts are divided on this one.
The scouts are divided. Who is the worst of that list that you think is
Victor?
Wembanyama?
Yeah, I think we got to stop. Like, he's got to actually be that before you put him on this list. I get that you're projecting 5 years, but he hasn't played a game.
Especially when we saw what his floor could look like. You know what I mean? Like, we saw, like, he scored a lot, but he also got, like, punked.
Yeah.
And I think for myriad reasons. I'm just saying, like, like LeBron James never showed up, and they were like, "Oh, is he okay? Is he going to be good for this league?"
Right.
I wouldn't bet against Wembanyama, but all the same, like
that's the right.
I gotta see it before people are this into it.
Yeah, in 5 years, he's the best player in the world.
I mean, like Zion, for example, has been supremely impressive when he's played, but he's nowhere close to being a guy that we're saying is the best player in the NBA.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, Zion hasn't been a disappointment from how good he is. He's a disappointment from the fact that he never plays. But when he does play, he's great, but still not that great. To me, Anthony Edwards is really surprising to me. I feel like, and I love Ant.
Yeah,
I was in on it.
World Cup shook you.
No. It's not even about that. Ant is not the caliber of player that I think is best player in the NBA. I think he's like a championship centerpiece caliber player, but I don't know that he's like the next LeBron, the next Jokic, the next Kobe, the next Tim Duncan. He's like a sub tier of that to me. I still think he's great. I just wonder if that was one where the hype kind of ricocheted.
What's funny is, would he be on this list if it wasn't for the World Cup?
Do you think that World Cup elevated him?
I don't think so. I think it did elevate him, but the funniest thing is, like, the U.S. flopped.
Yeah.
Right.
He had, like, 3 unbelievable games, or maybe it was only, like, 2 unbelievable games. And I really feel like that's the reason he's on this list.
The thing
coming off of last year, was Anthony Davis or Anthony Edwards on the list of best players in the NBA going forward?
This is the conversation we're having with Jamal. It's like these conversations, these lists they're not real. They're just based on the perception that the media
Their feelings.
But when you are in front of the media and they actually watch your games and watch your performance, like Jamal has an opportunity to rise meteorically in people's minds because he's going to be paid attention to this year. Anthony Edwards was paid attention to, and he was, after the first round, crowned the new face of the NBA by Kendrick Perkins.
No, it was after beating like Angola.
But point being, like,
that.
people saw, they're like, oh, I see. So yeah.
I'm going to push back a little bit. I do think it accelerated. I think there was just everyone jumped on a bandwagon at the same time, and the inertia went crazy. But Anthony Edwards was very, very good in the playoffs, in my opinion.
He was.
And he's
Against the Nuggets,
22
absolutely.
years old against the team that went 16-4. So I'm not saying he was toe to toe with Jokic, but to me, I think Ant has it. I think he has an insane talent. I think he's athletically gifted.
For sure.
He can be in this conversation to me. But that said, I'm actually surprised Luka didn't run away with that.
To me, Anthony Edwards took a hit because of the World Cup, because we saw at the largest moments that he has bad decision making and doesn't necessarily have that over the top thing yet. But I'm with Vogt in that I do see the fact that he does have the physicality. He is able to shoot threes like way better than you would expect him to. He has finishing. There's just a lot. And to me, if he is able to mature more and not make terrible decisions, not just jack up a shot when you need it most from deep, and you're like turn all that stuff, you're like, okay, we're not ready yet. But I can see him in the conversation. It makes sense to me.
Yeah, in 5 years, he's going to be in that conversation.
What about this one? Are we sure Yoke's not the best player in 5 years?
Nope.
How old is he going to be?
34. He'll be 33, turning 34 during the season.
No. He can easily be the best player in the
absolutely. He
league.
can still be the best.
God, I don't
Easily.
know.
I mean, why would he get worse?
By 34. I mean, 34, you're not that old. 34 is about where the drop-off starts to happen. You're past your peak, but you kind of plateau. 34 is about when you start to come down. But again, skill level, he won't be worse.
Right.
And he's not that athletic.
Can you
to begin
imagine
with.
where his basketball IQ might be in 5 years?
Totally reinventing the game.
And there's the obvious thing of we all make the joke, but this is very real. If he gets even slower, he's going to use that to his advantage somehow.
He might be even better if he gets slower.
Right. But so Steph is 35 as a small guard. Now, one of the outlier talents of all time, but that's what we're talking about in Jokic. As a small guard who's got to run around, scurry around, he is still on the outside, if not inner circle of this conversation.
Yeah.
So can a guy like Jokic, who's not reliant on separation in that way and his knees and his ankles in that way?
Well, that's the thing that you have to potentially look at is that Jokic is a huge guy, and like you look at Sabonis when he came over, like his knees were shot, and like Dirk at the end of his run, like his knees were shot, and his body wasn't, his skill never went down. It's just like Jokic is like actually a lot quicker than you give him credit for. Like when he
And
needs
it's useful.
when he has quick cat like he's able to dribble behind his back really quickly. Like I'm not saying I would never bet against Jokic for anything. I'm just saying like I can see, like he probably will start to feel the effects of having a giant body.
I think at 35, though. I just don't think at 34.
Possibly.
Come on.
8 months, not 10. I mean,
No, I'm serious. That I just think that's when the down. Like you look at.
I know what you mean.
You know what I mean? Like Steph won at 34.
Yeah.
Now he's 35, and it's just different. That's all I'm saying is I do feel like that's the last window of where you're capable of doing
also,
that.
when you're that
I think
age,
LeBron did too. Actually, by the way, won at 34. This is the actual thing.
Sorry, go ahead, Win. I don't mean to
when you're at that age, you also are just going to have so many miles on your body.
Yeah.
I mean, 82-game regular season. He doesn't sit out many games during that. And then long playoff run after long playoff run. Those minutes just add up to where you wake up, roll out of bed at 34, and you're like, oh, God. Like, even if he's not injury prone, even if he doesn't get injured, that shit just adds up.
dude, I think
You're just
Vogt
not.
is 30. I think I heard him make a noise when he stood up from a chair the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is true. Like, oh, it's a bad day for my knee. What happened? Got out of bed. No, I do think we are at a point where athletes and sports science have advanced to a point where we need to bump this stuff 3-4 years down the line. And I do think LeBron and Steph taught us that. And even Chris Paul, who I think is now finally declining, lasted 2-3 years longer than people think as a small guard.
Yeah, he's 38.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That used to be like well past retirement.
Right,
34 is like 32.
And at 35, Chris Paul was still making a huge impact. So I do think we need to adjust what the end of primes look like, especially for a guy like Jokic, who this kind of guy is hilarious. But especially with a guy like Jokic, who is not relying on his athleticism. So I think he should still in this conversation for sure.
All right, let's take a quick break. On the other side, there's a couple more from the survey we'll get to, and then some mailbag questions that are lingering from last week.
Guys, sign up for Fubo TV right now. FuboTV.com/DNVR. You get 140 live channels.
Dude, I love
sports
Fubo.
shows, movies, and news.
I love Fubo. I really do.
So dope, man.
You can stream live TV from any device. You can watch the most Colorado sports for the lowest price. They have everything on Fubo TV that you could want. College football, Pac-12. You can watch CU football, NFL, Broncos, NFL Network, the Red Zone channel, tennis, soccer, golf. They got it all on Fubo TV. Watch all of your favorite college football and NFL games with Fubo. Go to FuboTV.com/DNVR, FuboTV.com/DNVR. When you go to that link, you have to go to that specific link. You can use that QR code right there on the screen too. You get 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro. So all those really cool things you get with Fubo, you get even more with Fubo Pro, and you can get 15% off your first month of Fubo Pro when you go to FuboTV.com/DNVR.
Alrighty, and it's also time to talk to you guys about Illegal Pete's, which has been the go-to spots for burritos, buddies, and beers for 28 years. We went as a company.
You're Adam lamenting not having any other place for buddies.
We went there recently as a group, and you know what? We left even closer. You know, friendship was just thriving.
Bonded by queso.
Bonded by queso. Whether it's bowls, burritos, taquitos, nachos, however you do Illegal Pete's, do it with some buddies. It's unlike some other competitors. I'm not gonna even say their names. These
that was just an actual cough.
Illegal Pete's has a bar and a vibe. So you don't just go there to build your own burrito. You go there to hang out with your buddies. Check out Illegal Pete's.
All right, back here, segment 3. Continuing the survey on ESPN, there's a couple interesting ones that I found interesting. Again, not a scientific survey. Which team had the best offseason? Spurs got 4 votes. They got Wembanyama. Okay.
Hell of a choice by them at number 1.
Yeah, really. Again, not waiting for that, apparently.
Stones required to pull the trigger.
Just so much research went into that pick.
The Celtics at 3 votes. To me, this seems like the obvious one. They got Porzingis, whatever. The Warriors, 2 votes. The Lakers, 2 votes.
I'm actually
the Bucks, 2 votes.
I'm
the
actually
Grizzlies,
surprised by
1
this.
vote. The Suns, 1 vote.
I'm very surprised the Suns were that low.
Me too.
1 vote for the Phoenix Suns for getting Bradley Beal. People are not buying the Suns.
No scouts are.
We are very close to this story, just in general. I'm surprised. Like, to me, like, my immediate environment has felt the ripple effects of the additions that the Suns have made.
You would think they'd be number 1.
That in my environment, yes.
Yeah.
It is outside of my environment. I am surprised to hear that. But I also kind of agree. I mean,
Yeah, it's like, come on. Come on.
so smug.
They're bringing Nurkic. Like,
So smug.
I mean, I actually think they had a pretty good offseason, but I don't.
oh, you agree with
Dude,
one GM.
They had a great offseason. It's just like, did they have, in that they made very meaningful change. The question is, does it turn into wins? I mean, but they were active and they made. I mean, I get that.
I thought they had a pretty good
they had a really
offseason.
good offseason.
Well, you know what? Let's go to which teams had the worst offseason. The Raptors got 5 votes. The 76ers got 4 votes. How'd the 76ers not get all of the votes?
They had a pretty bad
player
offseason.
demand a trade.
They fired their coach.
Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never play for him again.
I'll vote for
It
that.
can't get much worse than what happened in Philly. It
Yeah,
really can't.
Miami got 2 votes. The Bulls got 1 vote.
What did the Bulls do?
I don't know that they took a trade.
I think they just ran it back.
To be fair, that's probably the problem.
Yeah, that is
Oh,
the problem.
I think it's also that they haven't moved.
Levine or any of the guys.
Yeah,
DeRozan and
well, DeRozan was in Ball,
And we
Vucevic.
found out Ball's not going to play.
because the ball's not going to play,
Yeah.
and it's they're going to run out of his services.
Houston Rockets got a vote, which is kind of surprising to me. The Phoenix Suns got a vote for worst offseason in the Wizards. So one vote for best offseason goes to the Suns. One vote for worst. Not only did they not get all the votes you expected they would get for best, they also got one for the worst offseason.
Wow.
Maybe it's just for considering
whoever that scout is, you have a seat right here on this show.
I hope that you're like not that wide of a person.
Are NBA insiders low on the Suns?
One of them is.
Well, you know what happened?
Two,
what
apparently.
happened?
Or no, just one.
They ran into the Nuggets, and
Nuggets made them look bad.
There was a big gap, even with those 2 games that went Phoenix's way. There was a big gap. So I think it's for a team like the Suns. Maybe some people feel like they need to be convinced that they made an undeniable leap, and in fact, leapfrog Denver when perhaps they have not.
No.
The Wizards actually, I think, had a great offseason because they put themselves in position to be the worst team in the NBA.
Finally.
These are always tough. This is like, you're right. Sometimes we give it to teams like that. Do you remember when Utah last year won this award? Utah had the best offseason when they did was get draft picks.
Yeah, for just rating Tim Connolly of draft picks.
And yet when Washington does it, they're like terrible. So you're right. There is an unbalance.
Can we circle back? Boston was number 1 because they traded the one player who wanted to be there for a notorious loser. Hang on. Malcolm Brogdon is pissed that they tried to trade him.
They're also still trying to trade him, apparently.
And they don't have a point guard, so the plan is to put the ball in Jason Tatum's hands more.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we talking about?
Are you tripling down? Are we tripling
you know
down?
They're going to be in the finals.
You know they're going to be in the finals. Are you tripling down? Tell us which way you're going.
Who's their coach? Is it still Missoula?
Yeah.
Best offseason, my ass.
So smug.
See you in the finals. I can't wait.
Oh, no.
I'm so excited.
Oh, no.
Go trade for Dame, too. F it. I don't give a shit.
No, we're a full bully pod at this point. Like, this is terrible. I hate who we are.
I hate what we've become. I can't believe this. Who will win the East?
I can't wait to play that back when the Celtics are in the finals.
Me too. And I'm nervous as shit. Sweat stains down to my hip.
guys, I have a glandular issue. You're like, it seems like it only comes up for the Celtics games.
Who will win the East? 9 votes for the Celtics.
Who cares?
6 for the Bucks.
You know what? They're probably right. That's the messed up part. Who's good?
There really are only 2 teams in the East. In the West,
who cares?
In the West, the Nuggets got 10 out of 15 votes. The Suns got 3. The Warriors got 2.
I think that's right.
Guys, we're favorites, man. What a weird era. And then the NBA champs, vote. The Celtics got 6. The Nuggets got 5.
I mean, like I said, when you
Bucks
add
get 2, Suns
Kristaps
get 2.
Porzingis, it's hard not to become the odds-on favorite. I don't see how you can argue with that.
Whoa, what?
What?
They see the Celtics as the favorites
Dude, it's
to win?
because the East sucks,
are we
man.
underdogs?
But that's the East beating the West. That's the champion.
I see what you mean.
That's wild.
That's what it is, man.
You know what? I was sitting here thinking,
Fraud City?
how can I find it? You know what I mean? They already won. I gotta dig deep.
Like
Is there anything left?
We're the Tom Brady of this of this. We need to. What did you say about us? What did you say?
Thank you.
Yeah, we suck.
I'm ready. Start the season.
Let me ask this one. When do you think the Nuggets' title odds will be at their lowest?
After the opening day, we do a watch along.
So right after game 1.
Ring night watch along at halftime.
We're just counting already. I can't believe we're full smug except for opening night. We're like, we're gonna lose for sure. Opening night will lose
against the Lakers. The vibes will be atrocious. Like we'll go right back to where we started from.
Oh my gosh. All right, let's take our final break. On the other side, we're just gonna. We don't have to snake draft today. We're gonna do our mailbag questions from yesterday. We'll get to those. Some good ones in there.
Guys, when you get hurt, Bax and Shanker, they are here to help you. They've been winning for Colorado families for over 25 years, and they've won over $1 billion for their clients. So if you get injured and it's not your fault, car accident, motorcycle, rideshare, pedestrian, trucks, Bax and Shanker, they can even help you if you're injured at work. Give them a call, 222-2222, to find out if you have a case for free. Bax and Shanker, they've got neighborhood offices in Denver, Aurora, Englewood, Fort Collins. They've got 30 lawyers on staff, 100 staff members in total. Tons of people to help you win your case. Give them a call, 222-2222, to find out if you have a case, of course, for free, because you don't pay Bax and Shanker until they win your case. Bax and Shanker wins for Colorado families.
Don't stare at that Celtics offseason directly, not without a pair of Shady Rays at least. Don't want to hurt your eyes. It's so bright. It's so bright. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Go to
Vote over there.
Is that him giving props to the Celtics offseason?
No, he's being facetious, but also extolling the virtues of Shady Rays.
That's right.
Which do actually provide the service he's describing.
That's right. In fact, whether or not what you're looking at is actually bright, take on the sun with gear built to last. Our listeners can get 50% off, not 15, 50, half off at Shady Rays with code DNVR. 2+ pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people.
And we are back. Final segment here. Yesterday, we did not get to all of your mailbag questions. Do you want to ask this first one? Because we actually asked it, but you never responded.
Oh, I don't know what it was.
The question was,
I jumped on the box.
The first one
soapbox.
came from Alec Gwynn. It just said, if you had to choose the profile picture for the team, what would it be?
Larry O'Brien.
All right, there you go.
You know what? That's interesting because
we'll move on. We'll move on.
Okay.
Jordan Scott asks, who will get more minutes this upcoming season, Pickett or DeAndre Jordan?
Whoa, that's actually interesting. That's an old guard versus a young guard
versus a new guard who's has an old man game.
I honestly don't know the answer to this. I'm going to say DeAndre Jordan.
Probably. Are we sure that Jalen Pickett's going to be with the team the whole time?
I'm going to say Jalen Pickett.
Do you think he's going to? I mean, you guys actually probably have more insight into this. Do you think he's going to be with the team most? Is that the plan?
He's on a regular NBA contract. I think he's going to be with the Nuggets most of the season. I think he could play a little bit in the G League, but I think as the season goes on, he's going to play. And I think he's going to end up playing more than DeAndre Jordan.
DeAndre Jordan only played 586 minutes last year, which is really low because it seemed like he played a lot for a stretch and still only 586. I think he plays less than that or fewer minutes than that this year, probably around the 450 to 500 range, not significantly fewer, but Denver is thin, so injuries he might play. I think he plays more than Jalen Pickett this year. Pickett's my guy. I love him. I'm prepared to be upset about the fact that he's not getting a chance. But if I had to make a bet right now, I don't think he gets a chance this year to get on the court. And I'm kind of the three rookies, I almost think he is the least likely to play.
Well, I agree with that because him playing means he's in charge of a unit.
It's like a bigger responsibility.
It's a bigger responsibility than coming in and just sitting in the corner waiting to get shots up like Hunter Tyson will,
Yeah.
See, I think he does get an opportunity later in the season, though.
Yeah.
I think as we shift to January, February, trade deadline type of part of the season, I think he does get a chance. I don't think he's going to get a chance at the beginning of the season, but as we shift into 2024, I think he'll see the floor. Especially like down the stretch. There's a regular season.
There's no backup center on this roster other than DeAndre Jordan. So that's
true.
Wait, we changed Zeke's position again?
No, he might play a backup big, but he's not a center. So I'm just saying I can see an adjustment that leads them to DeAndre quicker.
If there's an injury to any of Jokic, Aaron Gordon, or Zeke Naji, DeAndre plays.
You knock on every piece of wood available to you, please.
Yeah.
But if I'm just saying, if there is, DeAndre Jordan plays a lot of minutes.
That's what I think, yeah.
Whereas with Pickett, it's more like he has to beat guys out.
Yeah.
And even then, he might not play just based on the rotation and health and this or that. So I'm going to have to say, sadly, I'm prepared for that to be my most frustrating thing about the season. But
you're going to be so frustrated.
But I'm going to be frustrated.
It is important, and we should all do this. Like, heading into the season, it's important to set goals, to look forward. We need to decide what we're going to be mad about going into the season early now. I personally, I'm going to be mad about the Nuggets not giving the effort that I feel is.
That's so true. They're going to drop games that you're like, they mean so much to you, but they don't actually mean anything. All right, that's do you have one win that you're going to be upset about? Like, what are you prepared to be mad about?
Yeah, I need to know what everyone's going to be mad about this year.
I mean, it's probably going to have something to do with Christian Brown.
Oh, the Christian Brown role, absolutely.
He's going to play an enormous amount of minutes.
I know, but people probably aren't going to give him the credit he deserves.
Yeah, okay. He's not getting enough credit.
He's not going to make Team USA again.
He's not getting enough credit. I love it. Okay. These are good. What about you, Bo?
I mean,
He's better than Bruce Brown.
I'm sorry. Why do we MPJ? We got all right.
They haven't opened up his role at all.
No. First of all, it's already started.
They're not giving him the rock.
You heathens out there fake trading Mike.
Bro, there's not. If you want to piss you, can everybody do me a favor and just vote trades ideas for Michael
But
Porter?
first, Google did the Nuggets just win a title, and then look at their starting lineup.
See, somebody, I want to see who can send the worst Michael Porter
It was
trade.
Mitch, OG, and Jakob Poeltl. OG and Jakob Poeltl. It was March. So yeah, stop doing it.
So Michael Porter fake trade and just Michael Porter
dude.
lack of respect.
that's
Oh
it.
man.
I guess mine will
When
just
he
be
doesn't
Pickett.
get a defensive player of the game chain again.
Mine will be. Yeah, mine will be
I love
Pickett.
this stuff,
You should be
man.
Pickett. We already know. The
start
Pickett
the
lines are
season.
drawn.
The Pickett line has already been drawn. Pastor Rhett asks, who's the boring but reasonable outcome comp for each of the Nuggets rookies? And then he says second-year players for the next few years. Yeah, you know what? We'll throw Peyton Watson into this mix. So the rookies, boring but reasonable outcome comp. So
Gerald Green, like you were on.
yeah, you know what? I actually have an updated Peyton Watson. A new Peyton Watson comp.
New Peyton Watson just dropped.
Yeah. What about like a Tayshaun Prince?
He was so slight of body.
So have you seen?
I wouldn't
Peyton
describe
Is
him
Watson?
as
that
slight.
realist? I mean, that's a little optimistic still too, right?
And that's a jump shooter.
Yeah, I mean it is optimistic,
But it's difficult exercise.
To me, he was like a really long defender,
Dude,
defensive player.
to
Like
me-
that's what made him
to
good.
me,
He
I
could
just
shoot the
see
jumper. But anyway.
I just see stretched out Andre Iguodala when I look at.
Is that because the GM of the Nuggets sat right there and said it?
Did he say stretched out?
No.
No, actually, you added that.
Let's
part.
Said
go,
Andre
dude.
Iguodala, though.
If we,
Maybe
everyone
you
has
should have his
original
job.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Boring but reasonable comp. Tayshaun Prince, you're right. Gerald Walsh, those are really good players. I feel like that's actually
They're lofty.
more
They're lofty,
optimistic.
yeah.
So maybe you're really looking at Herb Jones.
Yeah,
Like
okay.
it's more of a Herb Jones type. That
Which is a
you're hoping.
great
Yeah, he's a
player.
great player.
I
Really
love
good
that.
player.
I love that.
Let's go to Julian Strother.
Uh,
By the way, we've done a very poor job of the Julian Strother hype. Of all the guys, we've given
hyped him very little.
We need to do a Julian Strother cast.
it's because there
coming
wasn't a
up.
Julian Strother game
Yeah.
at Summer League, and
He-
there was
the
for
last-
Hunter
There
Tyson.
was. We just
Yeah,
had left
it was
Summer
the
League
last
by
one,
then.
yeah.
But that was
Last game.
everybody. To me, Julian, like, it's like Nick Stauskas.
Stauskas?
Stauskas.
That'd be
He
a
could be better than
disappointment.
that.
I know,
don't
but it's like a jump shooter that's like, can he knock him down? Like,
All right, but reasonable outcome. That's your
reasonable outcome.
reasonable. Okay.
I have no idea. I feel like I
need
know
to,
the
like, go
least
with
about
Strother.
Strother. I know he can shoot the rock. I mean, I'm not sure I know, man.
could he be a Buddy
don't know.
Hield?
No, I mean that's like
Just a
Chris
could,
Duarte.
could he be Steph Curry?
Do you have a boring one?
Maybe Jordan Poole. That's not boring.
No,
but
he doesn't have the shake to him. He doesn't have a handle like that at all. He
I don't
have
know.
that
He
handle.
might develop one.
To me,
Yeah, we don't know anything about this man. We've not even talked about him.
He doesn't get to the rim. I think to me this is
Yeah,
more
he
of
gets
a
to the floater.
more of a like pure shooter type that maybe has a more limited game but a very useful, floor spacing. Let's see if they think one on background. Hunter Tyson? Boring, but-
Michael Jordan.
Larry
I don't know.
Bird. Is it Larry Bird?
Oh my gosh.
Everybody thinks Larry Bird's boring, right? So I'm going to say Larry Bird.
Oh my goodness. I thought this would be a good question. I apologize, Pastor Ed. It actually has
He caught us at a bad
caught
time.
us at a bad time.
Yesterday would have been a great answer.
Hunter Tyson, who's like a good just like
Oh, Kevin Martin's good for.
yeah, Kevin
For
Martin.
Strother.
Kevin Martin for Strother is a
Strother,
good
yeah,
one.
that's a
Maybe,
good- there you go,
but again,
Josh.
that's really optimistic.
It is
Kevin Martin was really
optimistic.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
You almost have to think of like a tier or two down as the more like reasonable outcome guy.
Larry Markkinen, I mean, is
For Hunter Tyson,
just a
No.
big guy that can shoot.
again, reasonable outcome. So
Oh,
this is
I'm
like,
sorry. Okay, Larry Bird.
this is more of just like a bench. I
Yeah.
would guess. Like I'm trying to think of a bench like good all around cutter shooter.
That's white.
I mean, it doesn't have to be.
I mean, it kind of does.
It doesn't have to be.
That's how
Okay, you
NBA.
push back.
Just
I
understand
think it
that's how
does.
every NBA comp works.
I think it did.
I
Yeah.
apologize to our audience.
But Kyle Korver's too much. I
He's
feel like
not
Hunter
great.
Tyson has more to his game than just
Wow.
being a pure shooter.
Jordan
you know?
Scott with the dub. Ryan Anderson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. That's good. I mean, he's not quite as tall, but that's right. I think that's probably
That could
right.
be good. Yeah.
George Niang
and
with
he's
a
white.
motor.
Great job.
George Niang. Yeah, there you go. He did double
Nailed
job.
it. Really checked all the boxes.
Tyler Robert Key says.
Kuzma. What about Kuzma?
Again, I think more dynamic. I think more dynamic than Hunter, probably by a little bit.
Probably, yeah.
Probably.
But also
Dude, are we sure?
Dumber. Also, like I think Hunter
Hunter
Tyson more of a
was
system guy.
extremely dynamic in Summer League. It was Summer League. It's the only time I've watched him play, and it was very dynamic.
I still would say it was less than Kuzma. Kuzma's really skilled, man. His problem is he has a bad...
Kuzma's been in the league for a little while. He didn't come in super.
Yeah, but he
blowing
averaged
the doors
20 a
up.
game. You think Hunter Tyson's a 20 a game scorer?
I mean,
on
that's
the Wizards,
You think
maybe.
you think that's the 50th percentile outcome?
well, I mean, like how many seasons was he scoring 20 a game in his rookie season?
No, I'm saying ever. You think Hunter Tyson is ever a 20 point
I
game
saw
scorer?
a lot of skill out of a player that I don't know if it'll. I mean,
Hey, man.
that probably is ceiling versus
More medium. Yeah, I'm going for
Did
middle
Kyle Kuzma
outcomes.
make first team All Summer League?
Block Joel.
He actually
Block
might
Joel.
have.
Don't block him.
All right. This comes from Tyler Robert Key. He says, with NBA expansion, it's the last one. With NBA expansion coming soon, Vegas and Seattle would both be Western Conference for sure. Minnesota could get moved to the Eastern Conference. How does this impact the Nuggets? I imagine it would be nice with Edwards entering his prime being out of the division. Memphis is also there. I mean, I think Memphis would be the number one team to go.
Yeah.
they actually.
Very much not
Well, you
a
would
Western
need
city.
two
No
to
way.
go, right? So
No, would you? You'd only need one because you'd lose one. No, I think it would because you would need 16 in each conference. You'd lose one, add 2, so you'd have 16 to get to 16 and 16.
Memphis
I
makes
think
the most
Memphis
sense, though.
makes a lot more sense. They're clearly more east.
oh, dude, Memphis. Yeah, Memphis is an Eastern Conference team.
So I don't think you would miss out on Anthony Edwards'
they
prime
used to be.
in
They've
Minnesota.
shifted more towards the West.
So I think it's more that.
I'll say
Yeah,
this:
Memphis or
John
New
might be
Orleans.
fine in the East.
Wow,
that was funny. It was kind of
That was
funny.
good.
It was low hanging.
It was
but
good, though.
sometimes you have to
It's just it feels bad to make fun of Ja at this moment.
Yeah,
You know?
dude. This is like,
this is like, and that's the particular part I was making fun of for sure. Yeah.
hey, you did this to me one time when I made fun of Cat,
Yeah,
like
it's
a
true.
year, and
It's
you were
true.
like, "Hey, man, take it easy on
Yeah.
Cat. He's had a rough year." And I was like, "I wasn't talking about that.
Yeah, no,
I was
listen.
talking about Jokic."
I was thinking about the brand.
Listen. Oh God, I got to tell you.
That's
though.
a good point.
I got to
That's a
tell you
good
though. I got to tell you though. Great joke.
Thank you. Thank you.
No, it's a great joke.
Memphis, if you could pick one team, if Commissioner Silver came down and said, "Harrison, we got to send a team to the East,"
Which
It's
is
either
li-
Memphis
this is
or
actually a
Minnesota.
likely scenario. By
Yeah,
the way.
Memphis and
The way
Minnesota.
Harrison's trending.
Which one would you send for your own agenda?
For my own agenda, I don't really care about either of those teams.
You're not worried.
Is there a city you'd like to go to less of the two?
Probably Memphis.
See you later, Memphis.
New Orleans, I like.
Yeah, but like Minnesota, it's always so cold.
I like Minnesota.
I do too. I just don't like it in
Minnesota feels
February and-
Western.
Yeah,
and
of
those two
course.
teams, New Orleans and Memphis, have no business.
New
being-
Orleans
just no
also
business
feels
being the
like
Western
an
Conference.
Eastern Conference city.
As an East Coaster, does Memphis feel like the East to you? Not the East Coast, but does it feel like
Yeah,
the East?
well, 100%. Yeah.
Does,
in
does
Tennessee.
Minnesota?
Not as much, no.
Okay, all right, there you go. We got
It's clearly Memphis or New Orleans. It's not Minnesota.
Okay,
I will say New Orleans fits the bill. You
yeah,
know what I
that's
mean?
true too.
Just go to the East.
Yeah.
yeah. All right.
I love
supremacy, bro.
votes Eastern hate. It's amazing.
You know,
So great.
I did not realize how salty I was today before I started.
Oh, we do have
the
another
show.
super chat. 2 super chats on an off day.
Tyler Peters stepped away from the Nuggets since Summer League and time to get locked back in.
Let's go.
Back to back, baby.
Let's
First
go.
time catching the mustache live. Keep up the solid work, vote. I didn't make that up if you're listening. That was-
Yeah, that was an actual super chat.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
an
I
ex-
nicknamed that mustache, by the way, the COVID catcher.
Man, that's terrible.
yeah, Joe and Philly
That's
says I'm just
not a
playing
good
for
joke.
clicks.
Why? Just because he got COVID shortly after he grew
That's
it?
an old joke.
It is an
Oh,
old
okay,
joke.
okay.
All right, everybody,
I
hit that
haven't been
like
on, I
button
haven't
for
been
us
on.
on the way out. We'll see you next time.